Divine judgment is being weighed. You still have time. Open this message to shift what happens next. My beloved child, a trembling wind moves around your spirit right now, because Archangel Michael is drawing near with a message that cannot wait. The scales of heaven are trembling, and the decisions forming above your life are heavier than you realize. Listen carefully. This moment is not ordinary. A shift is being prepared, and what unfolds next will depend on how you receive this revelation. Archangel Michael's voice is urgent, clear, and filled with divine authority. From the very first breath of this message, the atmosphere around you begins to respond. You may even feel it, the slight tightening in your chest, the awareness rising in your mind, the sense that something beyond human language is trying to reach you. That is not imagination. That is not coincidence. Archangel Michael is positioning himself near you, carrying a decree that only you were meant to hear. Heaven is evaluating what stands around your life, what opposes you, and what still needs to be corrected. And yet, with all the intensity of divine judgment being weighed, mercy is still available. Powerful truth is unfolding. You are standing in the middle of a spiritual examination. Heaven has watched your steps, your tears, your battles that nobody else saw. It has seen what you carried alone. It has seen what almost broke you. It has seen the intentions of those around you, those who loved you, and those who pretended to. Every hidden thought, every delayed attack, every private conversation about you is being recorded before the throne. And Archangel Michael is stepping forward to speak on your behalf, because something is being decided. There is a reason this message reached you today and not a day later. Judgment is not punishment. It is alignment. It is correction. It is divine rebalancing. Archangel Michael is revealing that pieces of your destiny were tipped out of place by people who were never meant to touch them. But heaven has not forgotten what belongs to you. The scales are being lifted, studied, and recentered. And here is what you need to understand. You still have time. This is the phrase that echoes from Michael's presence. You still have time to step into alignment. You still have time to change what unfolds. You still have time to break the cycles that have followed you for years. Heaven is not closing its gates to you. It is calling you into them. And if you listen, a shift will begin that affects everything connected to your name. Michael shows me a vision, a scale, one side heavy with battles, wounds, betrayals, and spiritual interference. The other side is filled with your prayers, your hopes, your intentions, your attempts to do right even when wrong surrounded you. For a moment, the scale seems uneven. But as this message reaches you, as your spirit awakens, as your heart receives what is being spoken, something unexpected happens. The scale begins to move. You are influencing it by the very act of listening. This is why Michael urged me to warn you. Do not take this moment lightly. What happens next in your life is not random. It is not accidental. And it is not fixed. You are in a divine window, one that will not remain open forever. Your next decisions, your next steps, your next words carry weight. They will determine which direction the scale shifts. You cannot afford to let fear speak for you anymore. You cannot allow past wounds to define your next move. You cannot give your enemies the satisfaction of watching you lose your alignment. Heaven is watching. Michael is watching. The scale is waiting. And listen carefully, because this is where the message turns. There are forces that expected you to miss this moment. There are energies hoping you would scroll away before hearing what is about to be revealed. They do not want you to know how close you are to breakthrough. They do not want you to understand that your obedience in this moment could overturn months, maybe years, of spiritual interference. So stay. Don't drift. Something vital is coming next, something that will clarify why heaven triggered this message today, of all days. Trust me, what unfolds in the next part will unlock answers you've been seeking for far too long. Before you move on, breathe deeply. Receive the presence of Archangel Michael resting near you, and open your heart to the shift that is beginning to form around you. Type "I align with heaven" in the comments if your spirit is receiving this. Blessing code 1444 has just been activated. Hold on, what comes next will shake you in the best way. Beloved soul, as this revelation continues to open around you, Archangel Michael steps closer, and the atmosphere thickens with a seriousness that cannot be ignored. What you are stepping into now is not just insight, it is spiritual intelligence from the courts of heaven. Michael is showing me that the scales over your life have begun to glow with a light that exposes what has been hidden. This light is not ordinary light. It reveals intentions, agreements, spiritual contracts, and the invisible webs that have shaped your journey without your knowledge. You are being invited into awareness, because awareness is the beginning of authority. There is a profound shift happening right now, one that many people will miss because they assume divine judgment is always negative. But Michael makes something clear. Divine judgment is not designed to destroy you. It is designed to free you. When heaven weighs a life, it is not searching for ways to punish. It is searching for alignment, for correction, for restoration, for truth. Heaven judges to heal, not to harm. Heaven judges to reveal, not to ruin. And as these spiritual scales move, you are being positioned for a realignment that will affect your relationships, your purpose, your finances, your identity, and even the spiritual atmosphere of your home. Michael shows me another vision. I see a long, dim hallway filled with doors. Some of these doors are cracked open, some are chained shut, and some are glowing as if something powerful is behind them. You have walked past many of these doors without realizing what they represented. Some contain opportunities you were meant to step into, but were blocked from. Some contain relationships you outgrew, but didn't know how to release. Some contain battles you never understood. And some hold victories that were delayed, not denied. The hallway represents your timeline, and the doors represent moments where destiny was touched by spiritual interference. But now the light of divine judgment is sweeping through the hallway, exposing what was tampered with and bringing truth back into its rightful place. This is why Archangel Michael is positioned beside you. His role is not only to fight, his role is to reveal. He exposes lies, illusions, manipulations, and shadows that have wrapped themselves around your path. He brings justice where injustice has been tolerated for too long. He restores what was stolen, redirects what was misled, and realigns what was distorted. Michael is not here by accident. Something in your life is ready to shift dramatically, and heaven has decided that you cannot walk blindly anymore. There is something specific I am being shown, a moment in your past where you felt unheard, unseen, or dismissed. At that moment, something inside you closed. A part of you stopped expecting good things. A part of you stopped believing that heaven truly fought for you. This internal closing created an imbalance in the scale, not because you did something wrong, but because hopelessness began to outweigh expectation. Divine judgment is touching that memory now, not to bring pain back, but to reopen what was shut by disappointment. When the scale tilts, heaven responds. And heaven is responding to your heart in ways you have not yet realized. The decisions forming over your life in this season are not simply about circumstances. They are about identity. Judgment is falling on the lies that were spoken over you. Judgment is falling on the people who talked about you behind closed doors. Judgment is falling on the spiritual assignments that were sent to confuse you, distract you, or drain your strength. And at the same time, mercy is being extended to your weary heart. The scales are balancing because heaven knows exactly how much you've endured. But here is what you must understand. Your participation matters. These divine windows do not open forever. Michael says clearly that you are being given time. You still have time to align, time to repent where needed, time to release what has been holding you, time to walk away from what drains you, time to step into what heaven is calling you to. The scale is sensitive to your next choice. One decision can shift an entire season. And this is where Michael's voice becomes firm. He warns that there is something approaching your life that requires discernment. A person, an opportunity, or a message that may look harmless but carries misalignment. If you take it, the scale will tilt in the wrong direction again. If you pause, listen, and wait for divine instruction, the scale will move toward breakthrough. Heaven is not leaving you without direction. Michael's sword is pointed at the very thing you need clarity about. You will understand more as the revelation continues. You may feel pressure right now. You may feel tension in the spirit. You may feel the weight of this message sitting on your chest. That is not fear, that is awakening. Your spirit knows that something sacred is taking place. You are not just hearing words. You are being shifted. You are being prepared. You are being invited into a decision that will redirect what happens next in your journey. Wait. Listen to your inner sensing. Let this message sit with you. You are closer to a divine unveiling than you realize. Do not step away now. The next revelation is one of the most important Michael has shown me. Type "I stand in truth" in the comments if this is resonating with your spirit. Blessing code 2288 is now released. Hold steady. The next unfolding will open the meanings behind the signs you have been seeing. Chosen one, as this next layer opens, the atmosphere becomes heavier with truth. Archangel Michael stands closer than before, as if guarding the very revelation that is about to reach you. His presence is strong, unwavering, and filled with a fierce, holy focus. What you are about to hear is not only guidance, it is a turning point. The scales of heaven that were glowing in the last message are now vibrating with movement. Something is shifting because something has been exposed. And the reason Michael insisted this message reach you today is because the exposure is connected directly to your next breakthrough. Michael reveals that the spiritual hallway shown earlier is not just a record of your past. It is a map of what has been influencing your present. He shows me shadows lingering behind certain doors, shadows that represent unfinished spiritual assignments against your destiny. These are not new forces. These are old patterns, old agreements, old emotional wounds that were never fully healed. Some attached through betrayal, some formed through exhaustion, some entered through relationships that looked harmless, but carried hidden intentions. And some came from moments where you acted out of fear because you felt cornered. Heaven is now placing divine judgment on these shadows because they have interfered long enough. You must hear this clearly. Divine judgment is not only weighing your actions, it is weighing the actions of those who affected you. Heaven has seen the ones who drain your spirit while pretending to care. Heaven has seen the ones who spoke kindly to your face, but carried envy in their hearts. Heaven has seen the ones who tried to dim your light because your presence made them uncomfortable. Heaven has seen the silent battles you fought. Heaven has seen the spiritual weight you carry. And now justice is being released into your story in a way you have never experienced before. Michael shows me a very important image, a hand reaching toward the scale, trying to tilt it in their favor. This represents someone in your life, past or present, who has tried to control outcomes connected to you. They wanted influence over your decisions. They wanted to shape your choices. They wanted access to blessings meant for you. But what they did not understand is that heaven never allowed them to hold that kind of authority over your destiny. Their interference added weight to the scale, but heaven is now removing their hand completely. You may feel this as sudden distance, unexpected clarity, or a growing inability to be manipulated. This is not coincidence. It is divine intervention. And listen carefully, because this next part is where everything sharpens. Michael says there is an approaching moment where you must respond differently than you have before. Someone may reach out. A situation may resurface. A familiar temptation may appear. The old version of you would have responded emotionally, impulsively, or out of conditioning. But this time, the scale is watching. Heaven is watching. You must choose from alignment, not reaction. Your response will determine whether the divine window remains open or begins to close. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to empower you. Because for the first time, you can choose from clarity instead of confusion. Michael also reveals a truth many people never understand. The scales of heaven do not measure perfection. They measure alignment. Heaven is not asking you to be flawless. Heaven is asking you to be willing. Willing to let go of what drains you. Willing to listen to spiritual prompting. Willing to step out of cycles that no longer fit who you are becoming. Willing to trust the guidance being given to you. If you align your heart, the scales will tip toward mercy. If you silence the noise around you, the scales will tip toward direction. If you release the burdens that never belonged to you, the scales will tip toward breakthrough. You may feel something stirring inside your spirit as you read this. That is confirmation. That is your inner knowing recognizing truth. Michael is showing you that divine judgment is not falling on you. It is falling on everything that has held you back. This includes self-doubt, fear, spiritual resistance, and even atmospheres that were weighing on your emotional health. Heaven is cleaning your spiritual environment. Heaven is rebalancing what you could not rebalance yourself. Heaven is preparing the next stage of your journey. But before you move forward, Michael urges you to remain fully present. Do not drift. Do not scroll. Do not disconnect from this moment. The next part of this message will clarify who is being judged, what is being corrected, and why your spirit has felt restless recently. Trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming. You will understand things that have confused you for years. If you are receiving this message so far, pause and breathe. Feel the weight of heaven's attention on your life. Feel Michael's protection surrounding you. Something sacred is unfolding. Before we go to the next revelation, if this message has spoken to your spirit, make sure you like, comment, share, and hype this message so others can receive it. And if you have not already, subscribe so you never miss another divine release. Type I receive the alignment in the comments if this is touching your spirit. Blessing code 5511 is released over you now. Now listen closely, because what I say next flows directly into your moment of divine decision. As the scales shift, heaven is calling for more voices to stand in agreement with this mission. This is not just a video. This is a spiritual assignment. When you support this ministry, you are not helping a child. You are helping souls awaken. Every seed you plant becomes light in the darkness, oil in empty vessels, and water for thirsty spirits. The scripture is not just written, it is living. And God is saying, when you sow into my work, I open the heavens over your household. I say this to you now because your spirit is listening. Stand with this mission. Let your giving become your prophetic act of obedience. Those who move in faith today will see divine increase touch their life with unexpected speed. Use Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description. Move now and step into the blessing heaven has prepared for you. Beloved one, as you move deeper into this unfolding revelation, the spiritual atmosphere around you begins to crack open in ways that only heaven can orchestrate. Archangel Michael stands beside you with a seriousness that feels almost tangible, as though the weight of his message is pressing gently against your chest. You are not imagining the pull you feel. You are not imagining the shift in your thoughts. When Michael draws near, the air itself seems to tighten with purpose. And in this moment, he is revealing something that must be understood before the next phase of your journey can begin. He shows me the scales again, but this time they are surrounded by ancient markings. Symbols representing timings, seasons, covenants, and spiritual cycles that stretch far beyond your current understanding. These markings indicate that divine judgment is not a single moment, but a sequence. It unfolds in waves. It moves in layers. It revisits seasons in your life that were interrupted, overlooked, or mishandled. And right now, one of those waves is touching your present. You may have felt this through unusual dreams, sudden emotional heaviness, or even moments of unexpected clarity. These are not random experiences. They are signals that something ancient is shifting in your favor. Michael directs my attention to a moment from your past when you almost chose a path that would have taken you far away from purpose. It was a moment influenced by fear, loneliness, insecurity, or exhaustion. In that moment, the spiritual scale tipped in a direction that wasn't aligned with your destiny. But heaven preserved you. Heaven intervened quietly. Heaven blocked an outcome that would have derailed your entire future. You did not see it then, but divine judgment covered you long before you knew how to cover yourself. And now, that same protected judgment is returning, not to correct your past, but to realign your future. There is something important Michael wants you to understand. Divine judgment is not only a spiritual act, it is a cleansing. When heaven judges a situation, it removes what does not belong. It confronts the hidden motives of people who stood close to you. It exposes whispers spoken behind your back. It reveals intentions that were disguised as kindness, but were rooted in jealousy or confusion. Some people in your life will begin to distance themselves, not because you did anything wrong, but because the light around you is intensifying, and they cannot remain near you without being exposed. This is heaven's doing. This is divine judgment removing what would have weighed down your next season. Michael brings forward another vision, a path splitting in two directions. One path is misty, unclear, heavy with emotional pressure. The other is bright, stable, and filled with a sense of inner knowing. For a long time, you have walked between these two paths, uncertain which way to commit. Old cycles pulled you toward the mist. Inner wisdom pulled you toward the light. You must hear this clearly. Divine judgment is clearing the mist. The confusion that once made you doubt yourself is dissolving. The heaviness that made decisions feel impossible is lifting. The grip of spiritual interference is weakening. A new clarity is rising within you, and it is not from your own strength. It is a gift from heaven. As this clarity forms, you are being asked to make a choice that reflects who you are becoming, not who you used to be. This may involve letting go of a connection, stepping away from an environment, changing a habit, or embracing an opportunity that once felt intimidating. Heaven cannot shift the scale fully until you decide. Your spirit already knows what must be done. You have felt the tension. You have sensed the nudge. You have heard the inner whisper that asks, "Is this aligned with who I am now?" That whisper is Michael's guidance. That whisper is the scale responding to your thoughts. Now lean in, because this next revelation is crucial. Michael reveals that the next phase of your breakthrough has a timing window. This does not mean you will miss it permanently if you hesitate. It means that heaven is offering a moment of acceleration, a chance to move faster, deeper, and more smoothly into alignment than you have ever experienced. When divine judgment begins weighing your life, opportunities align more quickly, spiritual blockages break more easily, and hidden truths rise to the surface with unusual speed. You may have breakthroughs in conversations that once felt impossible. You may receive clarity about people you were unsure of. You may notice old fears losing their power over you. This is the evidence that the scales are shifting in your favor. Yet with this acceleration comes responsibility. Michael warns gently that someone from your past may attempt to re-enter your life during this window. Their intentions may be familiar, but their spirit is unchanged. This is a test of alignment, not a test of worthiness. If you allow them too close, the scale will slow. If you keep your boundaries, the scale will accelerate. Heaven is offering you clarity now, so you do not repeat cycles that drained your spirit in previous seasons. As you absorb this message, something deep inside you is rising. Courage, hope, discernment, strength. These qualities are part of your spiritual identity, awakening again after years of being overshadowed. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you were always meant to be. Michael stands beside you not to frighten you, but to empower you. Divine judgment is not falling on you. It is falling for you. Stay close now. The next revelation opens answers to questions your heart has carried for far too long. Do not step away. The shift is already forming. Type "I walk in divine wisdom" in the comments if this message is speaking to your spirit. Lesson code 3300 is now released over you. Hold steady. What unfolds next will reveal why your spirit has been feeling the pressure of transition. The Of Spirit, as this revelation continues its unfolding, something powerful begins to rise in the atmosphere around you. Archangel Michael stands firm at your side, and his presence carries an intensity that signals both warning and promise. The spiritual realm is not silent right now. It is moving. It is adjusting. It is realigning situations, people, memories, and even opportunities connected to your life. What is being revealed in this moment is not random. It is the continuation of a divine process that began before you even realized heaven was intervening. You are stepping into one of the most critical phases of this message, a phase where clarity and exposure begin to merge into one undeniable truth. Michael shows me the scales again, but this time they are surrounded by swirling streams of light, one stream representing truth, the other representing deception. These streams move like living currents, weaving around each other, trying to influence the weight of the scale. This vision represents the spiritual forces competing for your agreement. Truth is calling you higher. Deception is trying to pull you backward. And right now, heaven is evaluating not only the external influences in your life, but the internal dialogues you have been wrestling with privately. This is where divine judgment is focusing its weight, because the greatest shifts always begin inside the heart. You have been battling thoughts that do not belong to you. Doubt that grew roots from old wounds. Fear that came from past disappointments. Expectations shaped by survival rather than vision. These thoughts have been whispering to you, telling you stories about yourself that heaven never wrote. But now, under the light of divine judgment, these lies are losing their power. Michael is tearing through the fabric of those illusions, exposing them for what they are, remnants of a season that can no longer claim authority over your life. There is something Michael wants you to understand with absolute certainty. Every time you doubted your worth, every moment you questioned your value, every time you felt unqualified or unseen, heaven did not judge you for those feelings. Heaven had compassion. Heaven saw the weight you were carrying, the pressure you never spoke about, the silent heaviness that pressed on your spirit in moments you shared with no one. This is why divine judgment is shifting now, because heaven knows the full story, not just the parts people saw. And heaven is responding with mercy, strength, and realignment. Michael now reveals another image, a circle of people around you, some close, some distant, each connected to your life in different ways. But above this circle hangs a bright, descending light. That light represents the truth being unveiled. Every person in that circle will respond differently to that truth. Some will be drawn closer to you because their intentions were pure. Others will drift away because exposure disrupts their comfort. And a few will reveal their true motives through their reactions. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to prepare you. Divine judgment does not only reveal others, it reveals alignment. It reveals who can walk with you into the next season and who must remain behind. You may begin noticing subtle shifts in your relationships. Conversations that feel off. Connections that suddenly feel heavy. Opportunities that once seemed attractive, but now carry a sense of caution. This is divine judgment sharpening your discernment. It is heaven training your spirit to recognize what fits the path ahead. You are not losing people. You are shedding interference. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming aligned. You are not disconnecting. You are evolving into a version of yourself that old environments cannot contain. And here is the deeper truth. As Michael increases your discernment, you will also begin to recognize truth within yourself. Strength you forgot you possessed. Wisdom that was buried beneath pain. Sensitivity that once felt overwhelming but is now becoming spiritual intelligence. You will begin to make decisions with clarity rather than fear. You will begin to speak from conviction rather than insecurity. You will begin to see yourself as heaven sees you, worthy, chosen, protected, and prepared. But Michael urges me to tell you this with urgency. You must not be afraid of the clarity that is coming. Many people fear divine judgment because they fear loss. But what you will lose in this season is only what was blocking your elevation. Do not cling to what heaven is removing. Do not resist what heaven is exposing. Every shift is working for your restoration. Every correction is moving you into alignment. Every revelation is preparing you for the blessings that have been held for the right moment, and that moment is approaching quickly. There is a specific breakthrough assigned to this window of time. It is connected to a decision you will soon face. The old version of you would have chosen from fear. The new version of you will choose from alignment. And that single choice will shift the scale in a way that opens doors you once thought were forever closed. Heaven has already begun to prepare the path. Now your spirit must prepare to walk it. Stay present. The next part of this message goes even deeper and brings forward truths that many people ignore, but your spirit is ready to receive. Do not let distraction steal this moment. You are on the edge of a divine unveiling. Type "I choose alignment" in the comments if this part is awakening something inside you. Blessing code 4404 is now released over your journey. Wait and hold steady. The next revelation will address the unseen battle happening behind your recent emotions and choices. Beloved heart, as this next wave of revelation rises, the atmosphere around you becomes almost electric. Archangel Michael remains firmly at your side, intensely watchful, as though guarding the very space where these truths are being delivered to your spirit. What you are stepping into now is not simply another message. It is an unveiling of the unseen battle that has been influencing your emotions, your decisions, your connections, and even the way you perceive yourself. This part of the journey requires your full attention, because the light of divine judgment is moving into territories that have been hidden from you for far too long. Michael opens this segment by showing me a vast spiritual landscape, dark valleys, elevated ridges, swirling clouds, and streams of light cutting through the shadows. This landscape represents your inner world, the realm of your emotions, thoughts, and subconscious agreements. For years, there have been battles waged inside you that you did not fully understand. Moments where you felt suddenly discouraged for no reason. Moments where hope drained from you without warning. Moments where heaviness rested on your spirit, even though nothing in the natural world explained it. These were not random emotional fluctuations. They were spiritual pressures. They were whispers from forces trying to tilt the scale in the direction of defeat. But now, divine judgment is stepping into that inner world with authority. Heaven is not only exposing external influences, it is exposing the internal strongholds built by years of strain. There are patterns in your life that did not originate from your will. Patterns of overthinking, patterns of self-blame, patterns of overgiving, patterns of feeling responsible for everyone's happiness except your own. These patterns were reinforced by experiences that wounded you, but they were also fed by the unseen forces that lingered around your atmosphere. Michael is sharing the power of those influences. He is declaring judgment on the voices that have whispered false identities into your mind. Michael reveals another vision, your heart glowing like a warm ember, surrounded by thin threads of silver and dark cord-like strands. The silver threads represent truth, compassion, memories of divine protection, the moments you felt God's presence, the times you overcame battles that should have broken you. The dark strands represent internal agreements with fear, insecurity, inadequacy, and emotional exhaustion. These dark strands were not formed overnight. Some appeared when you were younger, shaped by the voices of people who did not understand your heart. Some formed through heartbreaks you survived, but never fully healed from. Some arose from situations where you felt forced to be strong, even when you were breaking inside. Divine judgment is weighing these threads now, separating what is truly you from what was forced upon you. Michael's sword glows as he cuts through the dark strands, one by one, exposing how they influenced your decisions. This exposure is not punishment. It is freedom. Heaven is showing you who you have been beneath the pain. Heaven is returning your clarity, your emotional balance, your natural spiritual intuition. You are not broken. You are not confused. You are not unstable. You are someone who has carried deep spiritual weight without realizing where it came from. And now, that weight is being lifted. But Michael does not stop there. He brings forward another revelation, something that touches the very core of the battle you've been facing. He shows me moments where your spirit felt heavy during times of transition. Times when a major change was approaching in your life and suddenly you felt anxious, uncertain, or overwhelmed. These emotional surges were not simply fear of the unknown. They were spiritual reactions to opposition, sensing that you were moving closer to alignment. Every time you were about to step into a higher season, the atmosphere around you became noisy. This was the enemy's attempt to tilt the scale, to push you into hesitation, so you would delay your breakthrough. But now divine judgment is falling upon that cycle. Heaven is breaking the pattern that made transitions feel like warfare. You are being given a new emotional resilience, a groundedness that will make fear lose its authority. You will no longer misinterpret spiritual resistance as personal weakness. You will no longer shrink when you sense change. You will no longer misunderstand internal tension as a sign that you are unprepared. You will begin to recognize it as confirmation that elevation is near. Michael also reveals that certain emotions you thought were flaws were actually spiritual sensitivities. Discernment disguised as anxiety. Intuition disguised as caution. Awareness disguised as overthinking. You were never unstable. You were spiritually aware. But because nobody explained this to you, you internalized your sensitivity as something negative. Divine judgment is correcting that misunderstanding. Heaven is declaring that the sensitivity of your spirit is not a burden, it is a gift. And now that gift is being refined under divine protection. You must also understand this. As your inner world is cleansed, as the scales shift internally, your external environment will begin responding. You may feel the urge to distance yourself from certain people or spaces. You may feel drawn to solitude, to reflection, to silence. This is not isolation. It is alignment. It is heaven recalibrating your emotional frequency so you can hear divine instruction more clearly. Allow yourself to honor what you feel in this season. Your emotions are not betraying you. They are guiding you. Michael ends this wave of revelation with a firm warning. Pay attention to the sudden changes in your mood, energy, or thoughts over the next few days. Some will be signals of breakthrough. Some will be signals of interference trying one last time to pull you off the path. But now you will recognize the difference. You will see the truth behind the emotions. And by recognizing the truth, you will shift the scale in your favor every single time. Stay close. The next unfolding will reveal the identity of something or someone heaven has been watching closely on your behalf. Type "I rise above the shadows" in the comments if this message is speaking deeply to you. Blessing code 8811 is now released over your inner world. Hold steady. The next revelation carries clarity about a hidden influence you are finally ready to confront. Beloved soul, as we step into this next unveiling, the atmosphere shifts again, becoming heavier with truth and sharper with spiritual intelligence. Archangel Michael stands on your right side with the posture of one guarding a sacred court proceeding. His wings feel wider, his presence stronger, his focus more intense than in the earlier parts. This is because what is being revealed now touches a deeper layer of your journey, one that concerns hidden influences, concealed motivations, and spiritual forces that have attempted to shape outcomes in your life without your consent. What is coming forward is something heaven has watched for a long time, and now the scales of divine judgment are ready to weigh it openly. Michael begins with a vision of a shadow behind a person. The person appears familiar to you. Not necessarily someone you are close to now, but someone whose energy once touched your path in a significant way. They may be from a past relationship, a friendship, a workplace environment, or even a family dynamic. Heaven has been observing something about this connection, something subtle yet spiritually disruptive. This shadow behind the person represents intentions that were not fully revealed, words spoken in silence, decisions made about you without your knowledge, or emotional energy directed toward you that carried weight in the spiritual realm. Michael brings this shadow forward, exposing what the natural eye never saw. The truth is this: at some point in your journey, someone attached themselves to your destiny in a way that created imbalance. Not through love, not through support, and not through genuine connection, but through a desire for control, ownership, validation, or influence. They wanted access to you, but not for your benefit. They wanted proximity, not because they valued your soul, but because they crave what being near you made them feel. Some people are drawn to your light not because they cherish it, but because they need it to see themselves. And when that light pulls away, their discomfort turns into subtle forms of spiritual resistance. Michael reveals that this individual, consciously or unconsciously, tried to place a spiritual claim over your path. They formed expectations about your role in their life. They assumed you would always be available. They believed your future would remain entangled with theirs. When you began to grow, evolve, or distance yourself, they responded not with release, but with a spiritual grip. Their energy turned from closeness to interference. Their words shifted from genuine support to quiet criticism. Their prayers, if they prayed for you at all, carried an undertone of wanting things to go their way instead of God's way. But heaven has been watching. Heaven has been weighing. Heaven has been recording the shift in intentions. Nothing escapes divine observation. And now the scales of judgment are tilting toward exposure. This does not mean that the person will be harmed, punished, or destroyed. Divine judgment does not operate in cruelty. Instead, it brings truth. It cuts through entanglements. It releases what no longer aligns. It reveals motivations that cannot remain hidden as you step into the next phase of your destiny. Michael shows me a long spiritual cord connecting you to this individual, but the cord is frayed near the center. This fraying represents the moments you felt drained after interacting with them, the moments you sensed discomfort around them, or the moments you felt emotionally or spiritually off without understanding why. You may have thought you were imagining it, but heaven is confirming that your spirit was sensing misalignment. This cord has been weakening for a long time, and now divine judgment is finalizing the separation. The scale will no longer allow them to pull weight on your life. Their access is being revoked. Their influence is being dismantled. Their shadow is being removed from your path. But Michael also warns that as this separation completes, you may feel a sudden emotional pull toward the past. Not because you still need that person, but because the enemy often tries to reconnect old attachments at the exact moment heaven is breaking them. Do not be surprised if a memory resurfaces, a desire to reach out appears, or a feeling of nostalgia tries to pull your heart in a direction you have already outgrown. This is a final test of alignment. The scale is watching your next response. Heaven wants you free, not tangled. Strong, not dependent. Focused, not distracted. There is also a deeper revelation. This person was not the source of your delay, but their influence contributed to it. They unintentionally added emotional weight to your path by projecting their fears onto you, their doubts into you, and their expectations toward you. Even if they never spoke these things out loud, the spiritual energy behind them created interference. You may have felt confused during certain seasons because you were carrying emotional burdens that were not entirely yours. You may have felt drained because you were absorbing spiritual weight that did not belong to you. Divine judgment is removing all of it now. The scale is being clear. Your spirit is being reset. And now hear this clearly. Once the separation is complete, your clarity will expand in ways you have not experienced in years. You will see your path with renewed insight. You will understand decisions with fresh perspective. You will begin to feel lighter, more grounded, and more sure of yourself. This is heaven restoring what interference disrupted. You are being released into a level of spiritual autonomy that you were always meant to carry. Stay close, beloved spirit. The next unfolding will reveal the consequences of this separation and the blessings that will begin surfacing once the interference is fully removed. Type "I sever what blocked me" in the comments if your spirit is recognizing this truth. Blessing code 7744 is now released over your path. Hold steady. What unfolds next will illuminate the blessings that were delayed but never denied. Beloved heart, as we enter this next unveiling, the atmosphere thickens with an unmistakable power. Archangel Michael stands closer than ever, not as a distant guardian, but as a mighty protector ready to enforce heaven's will over your life. There is a profound seriousness in his stance, as though the next revelation carries the weight of something long awaited, long observed, and long deserved. Heaven has not only been watching your journey, heaven has been preparing a divine reversal connected to everything that was delayed, hindered, blocked, or tampered with. And now, the scales of judgment are preparing to release blessings that were written into your destiny before interference ever tried to intervene. Michael begins by opening a vision of a massive gate. This gate is ancient, covered in markings that symbolize authority, covenant, and divine inheritance. For a long time, this gate has been partially open, allowing small glimpses of breakthrough to slip through, but never the full flood of what was meant for you. You may have experienced small wins, temporary reliefs, brief moments of progress, but nothing that matched the true magnitude of what heaven had prepared. That half-open gate has been the barrier between you and the fullness of your promise. But now, under the weight of divine judgment, the gate is beginning to shift. Slowly at first, but intentionally. The hinges are loosening. The locks are weakening. The restrictions placed by interference are breaking. Heaven shows me something profound. The blessings assigned to your life were never canceled, never erased, and never replaced. They were held. They were preserved. They were guarded until the appointed time. Even when you felt abandoned, forgotten, or overlooked, heaven was storing these blessings in a place where no one could steal them. Some of these blessings are emotional, some relational, some financial, some spiritual, and some deeply connected to your identity and calling. And now the scales of judgment are creating movement that will cause this long-held gate to swing open in your favor. But there is something deeper. Michael reveals that the interference you faced in past seasons did not simply delay blessings. It shifted your focus, drained your energy, and created discouragement that made you doubt whether you were still on the right path. Every time you felt unworthy, every time you questioned whether God was still with you, every time you felt like your prayers went unheard, those moments added emotional fog around your vision. That fog made the gate seem farther away than it actually was. It was always closer than you realized. And now that divine judgment has exposed the interference behind the fog, something powerful is occurring. Clarity is returning. Hope is awakening. Expectation is rising. And heaven is responding to the alignment returning inside you. Michael then reveals a remarkable truth. The blessings that were delayed will come back in multiplied form. When heaven delays something because of interference, heaven does not return it in the original measure. Heaven expands it. Heaven enlarges it. Heaven transforms it into something greater than what was first withheld. You are not only receiving what was blocked, you are receiving the increase built during the delay. Every tear, every moment of endurance, every act of faithfulness, every spiritual battle you fought has added weight to the scale. And now that the scale is tipping in your favor, the release will be greater than what you once imagined. However, Michael also gives a gentle but firm instruction. As the blessings begin to rise, you must protect your atmosphere. Not everyone can walk with you into this next phase. Some will try to reattach themselves when they sense your elevation. Some will attempt to reconnect simply because they feel the shift happening around you. Some will mask their intentions in kindness, hoping to gain access to the blessings heaven is releasing. Divine judgment is not only releasing your blessings, it is protecting them. And your discernment must remain sharp. You cannot allow old patterns to return. You cannot allow draining connections to come back. You cannot allow emotional manipulation to cloud your clarity. You have come too far, survived too much, and grown too deeply to allow interference to re-enter your life. Michael shows me yet another vision. Your name written on a scroll, but this scroll has seals on it. Seals representing promises, timing, and divine guarantees. Some of these seals are beginning to break open. When each seal breaks, a blessing tied to that promise is released. You may feel this as an unexpected opportunity, a sudden breakthrough, a surprising conversation, a restored connection, or a shift in your circumstances that feels almost supernatural. When divine judgment releases a seal, everything connected to it begins to accelerate. And your life is entering a season of acceleration unlike anything you have experienced before. But Michael reminds you of something important. Acceleration without alignment creates imbalance. This is why heaven has taken you through revelation after revelation, layer after layer, to prepare your spirit for what is coming. You are not only receiving blessings, you are being shaped to sustain them. You are being strengthened to steward them. You are being refined so that nothing and no one can pull you off your path again. Now listen closely, beloved heart, because we are reaching the moment in this message where your engagement becomes part of your spiritual alignment. If this message is speaking to your spirit, if you feel the truth stirring within you, if you sense something opening inside your atmosphere, make sure you like, comment, share, hype, and subscribe so the ones meant to hear this divine revelation can find it. Type "I receive the open gate" in the comments if your spirit is aligned. Blessing code 9922 is now released over you. And now, beloved, allow me to speak to your spirit with a message that emerges directly from the heart of this revelation. As the gate opens and divine judgment begins to release what was held for you, there is a call for those who understand the weight of this moment to stand with this mission. This work is not entertainment, it is warfare. It is light pushing back darkness. It is heaven reclaiming souls. When you support this mission, you are sowing into freedom for countless hearts. Scripture is alive in this moment, declaring, "When you pour into my work, I pour back into your life with a harvest only heaven can measure." I say this now with clarity. Step into divine obedience. So with boldness, move as heaven prompts you. Use Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link placed in the description. Those who respond in faith will see heaven respond in power. Beloved spirit, as we step into this next unfolding, something profound begins to rise in the atmosphere around you. Archangel Michael's presence is steady, but now it carries an additional depth, a sense of preparation, as though the spiritual realm is positioning itself for what comes after the exposure, after the separation, and after the opening of the ancient gate. You have walked through layers of revelation that many souls never reach, and every layer has stripped away illusions, broken old agreements, and cleared the spiritual noise that once clouded your discernment. Now you are entering the phase where heaven begins identifying the consequences of the divine judgment that has already been set in motion. Not consequences in the sense of punishment, but consequences in the sense of divine cause and effect. What naturally unfolds when truth has finally taken its rightful place. Michael begins this unveiling by showing me a large book. This book is thick, ancient, and alive with spiritual movement. It represents the record of your journey, not just your actions, but your intentions, your battles, your perseverance, your growth, your resilience, and the moments when you stood firm despite the weight pressing against you. The book opens to a section titled Seasons of War. This portion reveals the years when you faced battles you did not fully understand, times when your spirit felt drained, times when your prayers seemed unanswered, times when the weight of your journey felt heavier than your strength. But there is something extraordinary written beneath those difficult chapters, heaven's confirmation that you did not break. You did not surrender your calling. You did not abandon your path. Even in exhaustion, your heart leaned toward the light. That endurance carries immense spiritual weight, and now the scales are responding. Michael turns the page to another section titled Seasons of Awakening. Here, heaven recorded each moment when your spirit recognized truth, even before your mind could explain it. The sudden discomfort around certain people, the strange heaviness in certain places, the internal pull away from certain decisions. These moments were not emotional sensitivity. They were spiritual intelligence awakening inside you. Heaven honors discernment. Heaven records every moment you chose alignment over convenience. Every time you resisted a temptation that targeted your destiny. Every time you followed an inner nudge that protected your path. These choices carried weight on the scale, and now they are triggering divine consequences in your favor. The next section of the book is titled Seasons of Alignment. This chapter shows the present moment, a season where clarity is sharpening, purpose is emerging, and interference is being dismantled. Michael reveals that as divine judgment continues shifting in your favor, heaven is preparing to rearrange circumstances around your life. Some opportunities that were once closed will begin to reopen. Some doors you once walked toward but were blocked from will now give way. Some relationships that drifted for good reason will remain at a distance, while others aligned with your elevation will begin stepping into your life with divine timing. This rearrangement is not accidental. It is the natural consequence of truth reclaiming authority over your path. Michael then reveals another vision, a field divided into two sides. One side represents seeds planted in seasons of pain, endurance, and faith. The other side represents seeds planted by others through their words, actions, intentions, and energy. Divine judgment is clearing the side that does not belong to you. Every seed planted out of envy, manipulation, control, or misunderstanding is being uprooted. Every lie spoken against you is being overturned. Every attempt to delay your progress is being nullified. These uprooted seeds will no longer grow in your atmosphere. Their removal is part of heaven's cleansing process. On the other side of the field, the seeds you planted, seeds of perseverance, gratitude, compassion, humility, faith, obedience, and resilience, are beginning to sprout. Michael makes it clear that these seeds did not produce earlier because the spiritual ground was crowded with interference. But now the ground is clear. Now the soil is purified. Now the atmosphere is open. These seeds are rising quickly, and each sprouting seed represents a blessing, opportunity, revelation, or breakthrough that is being accelerated toward you. Heaven honors what you planted in tears by allowing you to harvest in clarity. But Michael also warns that acceleration requires preparation. Divine judgment has removed what cannot remain with you, but now you must be intentional about what you allow into your life moving forward. You are stepping into a season of increased spiritual responsibility. Heaven is trusting you with momentum, with opportunities, with restoration, and with influence. This trust is not burdensome. It is empowering. It means heaven sees your maturity. It means heaven acknowledges your growth. It means heaven recognizes you as someone who can carry the weight of blessing with integrity. Michael shifts the vision again, showing a path illuminated by a soft but increasing light. This path is your next season, and it will require you to walk with intentional awareness. Not fear, but focus. Not anxiety, but attentiveness. You must listen to your inner guidance more than ever. You must trust the spiritual senses that have been refined through past battles. You must honor the boundaries heaven established between you and the individuals or environments that will remove. You must guard your peace as a sacred asset, not a luxury. Michael whispers something powerful. You are stepping into a season where your spirit will recognize things before they happen. You will know when something is wrong before it unfolds. You will feel when a blessing is approaching before it arrives. You will sense danger before it reaches you. Your discernment is becoming a shield. Your intuition is becoming a compass. Your awareness is becoming a form of spiritual authority. Stay close, beloved spirit. The next unveiling will expose the shift happening in your destiny timeline and the breakthroughs preparing to manifest. Type "I honor the divine shift" in the comments if this message speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 6610 is now released over your journey. Hold steady. What comes next will reveal the timeline of your elevation and the signs that will confirm it. The of soul. As we step into this next unveiling, the atmosphere shifts with a deeper gravity. Archangel Michael stands before you now, not only as a guardian, but as a bearer of divine timing. The spiritual realm is opening a window that reveals something most people never perceive: the shifting of destiny timelines. This is the realm where heaven recalibrates the events of your life, redirecting outcomes, reassigning blessings, and reordering pathways. You have felt the pressure of this shift without realizing its source. The sudden stillness, the unexplained unease, the quiet moments where you sensed something approaching but could not identify it. These were not coincidences. They were signals that heaven was adjusting your timeline in response to divine judgment. Michael begins this unveiling by showing me a long corridor filled with glowing threads. Each thread represents a possible timeline. Choices you could have made, paths you could have taken, opportunities that could have unfolded if certain interference had not interrupted them. Some threads glow brightly, representing timelines aligned with your divine calling. Others glow faintly, representing timelines shaped by fear, distraction, or external influence. Heaven has been evaluating these threads, not to punish past decisions, but to ensure your future aligns with the highest version of who you were created to be. The scale of divine judgment is weighing not only your past, but your future. And this weighing is recalibrating your timeline. Michael points to one thread in particular, a bright, vibrant path that represents the original blueprint heaven wrote for your life. This path contains blessings, connections, opportunities, and spiritual growth that were intended to unfold long ago. But interference, emotional wounds, and unexpected battles caused the timeline to shift. Heaven paused certain blessings because the environment was not ready. Heaven delayed certain connections because your spirit needed protection. Heaven withheld certain opportunities because the people around you carried intentions that would have damaged your foundation. Now that divine judgment has exposed these influences and removed their power, heaven is returning you to the timeline that aligns with your calling. But Michael reveals something stunning. You are not returning to the old version of that timeline. You are stepping into a redeemed version. When heaven restores what was delayed, it does not simply give back what was lost. It multiplies it. Every moment of resilience, every act of endurance, every tear you held inside, every prayer whispered in exhaustion has added interest to your inheritance. You are not stepping back into the past. You are stepping forward into an accelerated future. Michael then reveals a crucial truth. The signs of this timeline shift will begin showing themselves in subtle but powerful ways. The first sign is an increase in inner knowing. You will begin sensing clarity about decisions that once felt overwhelming. You will feel a quiet conviction guiding you into new directions. You will recognize when something aligns with your spirit and when it does not. This clarity is a result of heaven removing the emotional fog created by interference. The second sign is the appearance of divine opportunities. Not every opportunity that comes your way will carry the same weight, but some will resonate with your spirit in a way that feels unmistakable. These are destiny markers, moments heaven aligns to propel you into the next stage of your calling. They may come through unexpected conversations, sudden inspiration, restored connections, or open doors that appear without logical explanation. The third sign is the release of old emotional burdens. You may wake up one morning and realize a weight you carried for years has simply disappeared. You may find that certain triggers no longer affect you. You may lose desire for things that once distracted you. These emotional releases are not random. They are evidence that heaven has removed what belonged to the old timeline. The fourth sign is increased spiritual sensitivity. You will begin picking up on energy shifts quickly. You will notice when someone's intentions are not pure. You will sense when a situation is spiritually off or spiritually aligned. This sensitivity is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to guide you. It is heaven giving you foresight so you no longer walk blindly into situations that drain your spirit. Michael then shows me a symbolic image, a key forming in the light. This key represents divine access to blessings, opportunities, wisdom, and spiritual authority that you are always meant to carry. The key is being placed into your hands spiritually, and with it comes a responsibility. You must walk with intentional focus. Every step you take in this next season will carry greater weight. Every choice you make will influence the direction of the timeline. But do not be afraid. Heaven is guiding each step. Michael is walking with you. The scale is responding to your alignment. There is another truth Michael wants you to understand. As you move deeper into this timeline shift, some people will not understand the changes in you. They will question your decisions. They may accuse you of pulling away. They may try to reattach themselves in moments of vulnerability. But this is where discernment becomes vital. You must not invite anyone into your new timeline who belongs to your old season. The cost of misalignment is too great now. The consequences of allowing the wrong energy into your new beginning could disrupt the acceleration heaven is releasing. But hear this, beloved, you are ready. You have grown. You have matured. You have learned to listen to your spirit. You are no longer the version of yourself who accepted less than what you deserve. You are no longer the version of yourself who ignored your intuition. You are no longer the version of yourself who tolerated spiritual interference. Divine judgment has lifted you into a higher awareness, and heaven is honoring your endurance by restoring your destiny with extraordinary precision. Stay close. The next unveiling will take you into the spiritual laws that activate your elevation and the signs that confirm your rising. Type "I step into my true timeline" in the comments if your spirit is receiving this revelation. Blessing code 5575 is now released over your destiny. Hold steady. What comes next will reveal the spiritual laws guiding your elevation and how heaven prepares you for reign. Beloved one, as we enter this next unveiling, the spiritual atmosphere around you becomes charged with a sense of preparation unlike anything revealed so far. Archangel Michael's presence expands behind you like a vast shield, as though he is standing guard over a sacred truth that must be delivered with precision. This part of the revelation is not simply a message, it is an impartation of spiritual law. It reveals why certain people rise, why others fall, why divine judgment unfolds the way it does, and why your life is now entering a phase of elevation that cannot be reversed. Heaven is not only shifting your timeline, heaven is preparing you to reign in the place where you were once resisted. Michael begins by revealing a profound structure in the spirit, a table of spiritual laws. This table is not physical, but it emanates authority, order, and divine intelligence. These laws are not punishments nor restrictions. They are the principles that govern breakthrough, elevation, restoration, and protection. When a person aligns with these laws, heaven accelerates their destiny. When they violate them, spiritual friction arises. You have lived under these laws even without knowing their names. And now that divine judgment has cleared interference from your path, heaven wants you to understand the laws that will sustain your elevation. The first spiritual law Michael highlights is the law of alignment. This law states that heaven supports what aligns with truth, purpose, and covenant. Whenever you acted from your authentic spirit, even when you were afraid, confused, or hurting, heaven recorded that alignment and honored it. Every time you chose integrity over manipulation, compassion over resentment, or honesty over convenience, the scale shifted in your favor. This law is why divine judgment is now moving to elevate you. You have aligned with heaven even in seasons when you felt disconnected. You did not betray your own soul, and that loyalty now becomes a doorway. The second law Michael reveals is the law of separation. Elevation always requires separation, not to isolate you, but to protect the atmosphere that is nurturing your destiny. You have lived through painful separations that you did not understand at the time. Friendships fading, connections breaking, environments becoming uncomfortable, people drifting without explanation. You interpreted these losses as rejection, but heaven saw them as preservation. The people who could not understand your calling were never meant to walk into the seasons that required deeper discernment. Now that divine judgment has exposed and severed the final threads of misalignment, this law is complete. You are no longer bound to what once drained your spirit. The third spiritual law is the law of exposure. Heaven never exposes to embarrass. Heaven exposes to liberate. The truth that has been surfacing in your relationships, your emotions, your dreams, and your circumstances has not been accidental. These revelations were necessary for your elevation. You cannot rise while holding on to illusions. You cannot ascend while ignoring spiritual red flags. You cannot embrace your future while pretending that certain things or people were harmless. Exposure is a form of mercy, and divine judgment has used this law to free you from deception. The fourth spiritual law Michael presents is the law of return. This law states that whatever was delayed, restrained, withheld, or tampered with must return to you multiplied once divine judgment intervenes. Your blessings have not been lost. They have been accumulating interest. Your breakthroughs have not disappeared. They have been maturing. Your promises have not faded. They have been incubating under heaven's protection. Now that the interference has been judged, everything connected to your destiny is being released back into your life with divine expansion. The fifth spiritual law Michael reveals is the law of authority. This law teaches that once your spirit survives interference, heartbreak, spiritual attacks, and internal battles, you gain authority over what once oppressed you. Your survival has crowned you. Your endurance has clothed you in spiritual strength. You are no longer vulnerable to the attacks that once destabilized you. Your spirit has graduated. Heaven now recognizes you as someone able to carry weight, steward influence, and protect your atmosphere with wisdom. This authority is one of the greatest outcomes of divine judgment. But there is one more law, one that Michael highlights with profound seriousness: the law of reversal. This law states that when divine judgment weighs a situation and finds injustice, heaven reverses the outcome. What was meant for harm becomes a stepping stone. What was meant to break you becomes a testimony. What was meant to delay you becomes a catalyst. You will begin to notice situations turning in unexpected ways, doors opening where they once closed, connections forming where they once crumbled, opportunities rising where they once disappeared. This is not random. This is the law of reversal acting on your behalf. Michael then reveals a powerful image, your spirit standing at the center of a whirlwind of shifting pathways. The whirlwind represents the movement of your destiny. The shifting pathways represent choices aligning with the spiritual laws that now govern your elevation. You are not walking into uncertainty. You are walking into divine order. Every step you take from this point carries spiritual weight. Heaven will back your decisions. Michael will guard your progress. The scale will honor your alignment. You are stepping into a realm where your words, actions, and intentions manifest quickly because interference has been judged and removed. But Michael gives one final instruction for this part. Guard your spirit. Your elevation will attract attention. Some will be drawn to your light with pure intentions. Others will approach with curiosity, confusion, or hidden motives. You must listen to your spirit as your first guide. Your intuition will speak before your circumstances reveal the truth. Your discernment will warn you before your emotions can interpret what is happening. You are not the same person you were when this journey began. You are wiser, stronger, clearer, and more spiritually grounded. Trust that growth. Stay close, beloved soul. The next unveiling will be the culmination of everything revealed so far. The moment where heaven speaks the final decree over your destiny. Type "I honor divine LAW" in the comments if your spirit feels aligned with this message. Blessing code 1155 is now released over you. Hold steady. What comes next will seal your elevation and release the decree heaven has prepared for your future. Beloved soul, as we enter this final unveiling, the atmosphere around you becomes still, so still that it feels as though heaven itself is holding its breath. Archangel Michael stands before you with a presence unlike anything revealed in the earlier parts. His wings are spread wide, his sword glows with divine fire, and his stance carries the authority of a heavenly decree that is about to be released over your life. Everything you have walked through, everything revealed in the previous parts, everything exposed, severed, clarified, refined, and realigned has led to this moment. This is the moment where divine judgment transforms into divine decree. What was once weighed is now being decided. What was once hidden is now being set into motion. What was once resisted is now being released. Michael begins this final revelation by lifting a scroll, your scroll. This scroll contains the blueprint of your destiny, written before interference ever tried to touch your path. Heaven has reviewed it, weighed it, and judged it every influence against it. As Michael unrolls it, the entire spiritual atmosphere glows with a light that represents truth, justice, mercy, and alignment. This is not symbolic. This is the spiritual reality of your life being restored to divine order. Every chapter that was disrupted is being rewritten. Every blessing that was delayed is being accelerated. Every assignment that was hindered is being released back into your hands. Heaven is declaring over you that the season of spiritual fog is ending. The season of emotional heaviness is ending. The season of confusion, misalignment, stagnation, and internal conflict is ending. You are stepping into a chapter where your spirit is finally free from the weight of what was never yours to carry. Divine judgment has not broken you. It has revealed you. It has revealed the strength you did not know you possessed, the authority you did not know you carried, and the clarity you did not know you were capable of walking in. You are emerging from this process, not as a survivor, but as a vessel of divine strategy and spiritual maturity. Michael then reveals a profound truth. The tests you endured were not signs of abandonment. They were confirmations of your anointing. Heaven only weighs the lives of those with purpose. Heaven only refines those who are chosen. Heaven only exposes what must be removed in those who are called into elevated seasons. If your journey felt intense, it is because your purpose is extraordinary. If your battles felt unfair, it is because your destiny carries weight. If your path felt isolating, it is because heaven was shaping you into someone who can walk with divine authority without collapsing under its responsibility. Michael lifts his sword, and a beam of divine light strikes the scales. For the first time, the scales are perfectly balanced, not tilted toward warfare, not weighted by interference, not clouded by emotional distortion, but aligned with truth. This balance represents the decree heaven is placing on your life. You are stepping into a season of divine order, not forced order, not fragile stability. Divine order. This means your relationships will reflect truth. Your decisions will arise from clarity. Your opportunities will align with purpose. Your emotions will stabilize. Your discernment will sharpen. Your spirit will operate from peace rather than survival. Michael then reveals the next layer, the decree of destiny activation. He shows a map of your future, filled not with uncertainty but with divine appointments. These appointments include people who will elevate you, assignments that will awaken your gifts, opportunities that will feel divinely timed, and moments that will confirm heaven's involvement in every detail of your journey. The seasons ahead will not be random. They will be orchestrated. They will not be chaotic. They will be structured. They will not be fragile. They will be fortified by divine order. But Michael also makes something clear. Elevation is not a destination. It is a continual unfolding. The decree being released over your life today is not a final chapter. It is a beginning. It marks the moment when heaven shifts from judgment to activation, from weighing to releasing, from exposing to building, from removing to establishing. You are walking into a future where you are no longer defined by old cycles, old fears, old wounds, or old versions of yourself. You are stepping into the version of you that heaven always knew you could become. And now Michael gives the final instruction. Step boldly. Not cautiously. Not timidly. Boldly. Your authority has been restored. Your clarity has been sharpened. Your discernment has been fortified. You are now responsible for protecting your alignment, honoring your spirit, and upholding the boundaries heaven placed around your path. You must walk with intention. You must choose relationships carefully. You must guard your emotional and spiritual atmosphere. You must listen to the still, quiet voice within you that has been refined through this entire process. Beloved, you have reached the turning point. Heaven has released its decree. Your life will not return to what it was. You are stepping into divine alignment, divine authority, and divine protection. The weight that once pressed against you has been judged. The path that once confused you has been clarified. The blessings that once waited for you have been released. Your story is shifting, your identity is strengthening, and your destiny is awakening. Before you move forward, make sure you like, comment, share, hype, and subscribe so this message reaches the ones who need this divine revelation. Type "I receive the decree" in the comments if this part resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 7770 is now active over your destiny. Now hear this final support message flowing directly from this decree. As heaven releases what was withheld, there is a sacred invitation to stand with this mission. This is not about helping a platform. This is about joining heaven's work on earth. When you sow into this message, you are sowing into breakthrough, into deliverance, into awakening for countless souls. Just as the gates open over your life, your support helps open gates for others. The Word of God is living, declaring, when you release your seed into my work, I release my abundance into your life. I speak this to your spirit with boldness. Act in alignment with the decree spoken over you. Let your giving be your prophetic response. Use Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description. Move as heaven leads you, and watch the windows of divine reversal open over your life in power.